when I had spoken to Dr. Roy and Dr. Saxenaji, and they had asked me to come and speak at the Institute, and I thought, what can I say about understanding justice in a changing India? And I thought this is such a dynamic, fluid understanding. And instead of talking about an academic understanding of justice, John Rawls, etc., which all of us know, let me talk about what I've learned through my travels in India. Because I think travel itself is a great teacher. When we talk about understanding justice in a changing India, we could actually flip the lecture around and say understanding India in changing conceptions of justice, because it means pretty much the same thing. And the stories that I heard across the country that became my own, those are the stories that I'd like to share with you today. Ashish Kumar in Ludhiana last saw his brother Vinod when he was being driven away in a police car in 1994. His body was never found, he was presumed dead. The CBI had reasons to believe that he was killed by the police officer that last was seen with him, namely a gentleman called Sumed Singh Saini. 23 years have passed in this case. Only 3 out of 36 witnesses have deposed. The family was threatened. Today they live in Delhi. The mother was 94 years old. She begged the judge. She said, my last wish is that I come and depose before you for the protection of the memory of my son. And the judge said, all right. Just as she was about to start, the judge broke for lunch. She died 3 days later. Heartbroken. The family moved to Delhi, absolutely frightened and alone. Meanwhile, the policeman in question, who till today has murder charges against him, went on to become Director General of Police in Punjab, which, as you know, is the senior most police officer in the state, with murder charges against him. Earlier this year I went to Jharkhand, to Garhwa, and I saw a small group of people protesting on the road. And I stopped and I said, Manika, ye kya ho raha hai? What's happening here? And they said, sir, last week an 80-year-old woman, Shamdei Kuwar, went to the outside the SDO office and she said, it's very, very cold. Can I have a blanket, please? Because I heard that you're distributing blankets. The police officer came out. He said, all right, wait, at 4 p.m. She waited there till 3 a.m. when she died of the cold on the road. Her body partially frozen. For this book I'm writing, I've spent much of the last year and a half on the road, going to places like Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, etc. I was in Odisha and I write for an Odia paper called Sambad. I had gone to see the editor and he said to me, he said, there is such hopelessness around us. And I said, what do you mean? And he gave me 2 examples which were in the last year itself. Gati Dhibar, a scheduled caste man from Nauranpur, had to, as you probably read, this example became very famous. He went outside a hospital and he dumped a body there. And the hospital owner came out and he said, what nonsense is this? Who is this man? Why have you dumped a body here? We're not a funeral service. And he said, this is my son who has died of pneumonia. Can you imagine of dying of pneumonia in today's day? And I have nowhere to put him. And I have no money to do his last rites. So I place him before you. If you want, you can have his organs, you can do whatever you want because I have no money to do anything. At the same time, Dana Machi, a tribal from Odisha, was famous or became famous, I don't know if famous is the right word, for carrying his wife's body for 10 kilometers on the road because no hearse van, no ambulance would take him without the requisite fees. In my home state of Uttar Pradesh, where I always say कि केवल प्रश्न ही प्रश्न है, कोई उत्तर नहीं है, but 4 men dragged a 13-year-old girl and raped her in Lucknow. The prime accused was a young man called Gaurav Shukla. For 6 years, nothing happened to the case because the policeman was so-called judging whether he was a major or a minor. Meantime, Mr. Shukla, who had not only raped a 13-year-old but burnt her face so badly that she had to have 4 operations to look normal again. He married, he had children, and even fought the Lok Sabha election from Unnao. Please see it, Gaurav Shukla. He was the nephew of a known gangster called Aruna Shankar Shukla. And meanwhile, this girl's life was eaten away, literally. Last year, he was convicted when it became a public outcry and when the media served to take up this cause. But it should have been done a decade ago. When looking at justice or evolving conceptions of justice, we cannot but look at economic inequality. Last year, I was in Kerala giving a lecture in Kochi, and I saw on the front page a story about N.T. Joseph, a farmer in Kozhikode who had defaulted on an education loan of 3 lakhs. He had taken this loan to make his daughter a nurse. She had successfully become a nurse, and every month they were paying back a portion of the loan. 35,000 rupees were left, and he was finding it a little difficult because of said reasons, because his other child got married, to return the loan. He was arrested for 35,000 rupees on a loan of 3.25 lakhs and put in jail for 2 months' time. He was only released when the authorities and the bank in question raided his house, what in Hindi we call a kurki, where the tala lagao the house, which becomes a social, absolutely blasphemy in that village in front of your village elders and others. And they not only took the jewelry, but they took even the pots and pans they had to recover the loan. Last month, farmers from Tamil Nadu were in Delhi, they're coming back now. They not only drank their own urine to show their disgust at the situation, but they also displayed skulls of fellow farmers who had committed suicide because of destitution. While farmers in our country have to resort to such means, today in the Economic Times, somebody sent it to me of the industrialists who have not paid their dues. People like Bhushan Steel who had 90,000 crores, other industrial groups who have 60, 70, 80,000 crores, and over the last 5 years have not paid 1% of their due, in fact taking more than 25% more loans in order to stay alive. In our country, we have over the last 15 years, so I cannot blame one government because there have been several governments. However, the malaise seems to be across party lines, where 3.28 lakh crores has been waived off. Out of the 3.28 lakh crores that have been waived off in loans, 70% of it, in fact 76% of it, is the top 30 industrialists in the country. 78% of loans that have been waived off in a poor country belong to the top 30 industrialists of the country in India. What can be a more shameful statistic for us as citizens? These examples reveal the stark contrast between the different systems that we live with as citizens. In Maharashtra, in 2015, 3,228 farmers committed suicide. I was giving a lecture similar to this recently in Indore, and somebody after asked me, "Sir, it's such a big country, if 3,000 people have committed suicide, so what?" So I told him that official statistics say that Taliban has killed 3,300 people in the world so far. And this is 1 year and 1 state in India. Anyway, I was in Maharashtra to do field research, and I was reading reports in the local media about a water train that had come to Latur, because Latur had the biggest water deficit. 9% its reservoirs were full. And the water train, which was actually a very good thing to do, carrying 500,000 liters of water, was sent there. Over 350 kilometers, what journey which should have taken a day, took 4 days. Why did it take 4 days? Because the train was looted more than 30 times. Can you imagine living in a country where a train of water is looted 30 times? That means every 10 kilometers for people to take 10 liters and 20 liters to quote-unquote loot the water from the train. At the same time, I had gone to Mumbai, I don't want to get lynched. I had gone to Mumbai, and I had gone there and I had seen a big hoarding. And that hoarding said Aquaria Grand, a building to be built where 210 apartments will have 210 swimming pools. And this is the focal point of the exercise. And I thought, in the largest state which has the largest amount of billionaires in India, the largest amount of farmer suicides take place, and then you have a building which is going to have 210 swimming pools in it. What can be a more shameful example of disparity in our country? So I started researching about water, which is a great part of my book. And one statistic that, completely shook me was in the state of Maharashtra, the urban population is approximately 31%, approximately. But how much percentage of the water does it get? 78%. 31% of people getting 78% of water. The question must be asked, why? What is justice in a country where 50% of people don't live in permanent structures? What is justice in a country where 816 rupees per month is the poverty rate? So if you earn 818 rupees a month, are you middle class? And if you earn 1800 rupees a month, are you wealthy? The question must be asked. Unfortunately, the answers are not so forthcoming. When we look at financial inequality in our country, according to the GNI coefficient, we're number 2 after America. 1% of India owns 60% of Indian assets, and 10% of India owns 81% of Indian assets. If we want to look at an evolving citizenry, one statistic, over the last 10 years, if we look at all the wealth that has been generated in our country, 10% of people have got 95.5% of it. 10% of India has got 95.5% of the wealth being generated over the last 10 years. What are we going towards as a country? I want to talk about environmental injustice, because people often assume that environmental injustice is an elite issue, when in fact it solely and only affects the poor. I was in Firozpur in Punjab, and I went to a village called Doda Nanika. And Doda Nanka was at the edge of the Satluj Creek. And Doda Nanka was a village that I had read about. But when I went there, I was so extremely horrified. I thought I was in a war zone. 90% of the village was blind, or deaf, or dumb, or all three. Because of the water that was next to an industrial effluent plant, which was just causing industrial discharge. And I started looking at this, and I thought, what an important issue. And then I started traveling. There are 4,770 villages in India. 4,770 villages in India, which are based at the absolute end of industrial waste. Near Delhi, there is, I urge you to go and look at Bandwari. Bandwari is the waste treatment plant of Faridabad and Gurgaon, what is called Gurugram now, because all the names are becoming very fashionable. And it's a 30-acre waste treatment plant which has not been working for the last 5 years. And the villages of Dera and Bandwari, which are right next to us, 81% of people have cancer in these two villages. 81% of people have cancer because the waste treatment plant of these two big satellite cities of Delhi has not worked, and the waste has become toxic, and 200 children were just taken and tested for levels of uranium and lead toxicity, and 97% of them have more than 50 times the permissible limit. 50 times. Hyderabad is known as the pharmaceutical capital of India, where over 60% of Indian drug exports come from. Indian bulk drugs get made there. A very strange story led me to this example. In my constituency, a man came to me crying, and he said, "Sir, 3 of my children have died. He had 3 children and they all died." And so I asked him, I said, "Where do you live and where do you work?" And he said, "I live in Hyderabad." I said, "You live in Hyderabad? What do you do in Hyderabad?" He said to me, "I work as a laborer on the banks of the Musi River." And I said, "Okay." And he said, 30 big pharmaceutical companies who produce bulk drugs are situated on the banks of the Musi River in Hyderabad. And I started researching this. And I went to Hyderabad just to look at this. And it wasn't 30 companies, it was 170 companies. And it was 170 companies producing generic drugs, which need to be produced, going to Africa, going to Asia, etc. However, the antifungal and antibacterial drug residue was 400 times the permissible limit in the Musi River, where over 300,000 people live around that. And the University of Leipzig in Germany did this study, which I saw. They tested 28 water samples all over. And the Indian Supreme Court took notice of this, and they said that these companies should have a zero liquid waste policy. But I think that it was not actualized at all. And what has happened there, because of these massive violations and these excessively high levels of drug residue, is superbugs have been created. And these superbugs are completely resistant to antibiotics, to any kind of drugs, to any kind of antibacterials. And they go through the air, they go through livestock, they go through meat, they go through vegetables. And today, Hyderabad and the whole of that belt is teeming with superbugs. In fact, I saw a crazy statistic also done by the University of Leipzig, which said that 70 to 90% of people who travel there come back with these superbugs. So I probably have one inside me as well. And 156,000 newborn babies have died there over the last 10 years. And no pharmaceutical company has bothered to do anything about it. You know, you find hope from the smallest and strangest corners. I was in Kolhapur in Maharashtra, and I met this man called Mahesh Shivade. And Mahesh Shivade is an auto rickshaw driver. And he said, I was very perturbed by the fact that no trees were being planted anywhere and all the old trees were going. So he said, every time I had time, I would go up to a fruit tree, and if seeds would be planted nearby or seeds would be strewn, I would take them, I would grow them a little bit, put them in those seed bags, and when they became saplings, I would donate those saplings. And he said, I would spend 50% of my salary to do. It's an auto rickshaw driver. And till today, he has given over 10,000 saplings to the Kolhapur Forest Department and over 30,000 saplings to young people all over. And I saw his home. It's about half the size of this room, but 2/3 of it is full of saplings. And I thought, what an amazing, amazing story. You know, time and time again, citizens have shown us that the poorest of the poor can make a huge difference through citizen resistance. And that is the theme of my lecture against injustice today. In Vemula Ghat, in Medak district in Telangana, the Malana Sagar Reservoir project was seen to be made. And the Malana Sagar Reservoir project would have destroyed or flooded 28 villages and 45,000 acres of land. And so the farmers from Vemula Ghat, they got together, about 40 villages, 50 villages, and they sat and did a hunger strike for 152 days, but nobody listened, nobody cared. It was as if people wished them dead. And they said, okay, now we're going to get intelligent about this. We're not going to starve ourselves to death. So they went to court, they filed RTIs, they filed PILs, and they got a detailed project report. And what did the detailed project report tell them? That the land that was valued in the market as 20 lakhs an acre, the government was giving them 50,000 rupees an acre in compensation. They also found that the essential GO 123 land absorption order was in contravention of the order in 2013 of the Land Acquisition Act. They also found that the only people who would be given compensation were people who had more than 5 acres of land, which was less than 15% of the populace. And most people that were sharecroppers, marginal farmers, artisans, zero. And they went to court against this, and the Honorable High Court ruled in their favor. Today, that project has been struck down. Clearly, a better rate of compensation and revaluation of the project doesn't take place. Same way, Sinar is a great story in Nasik. Sinar was a story where a 75-year-old woman, Hakubai Gurule, Sinar is the most drought-affected area of Maharashtra. And not anymore. And one woman, a 75-year-old woman, Hakubai Gurule, said, we will launch an agitation before I die, where we will go from house to house and we will dig wells. And for the last 10 years of her life, she walked 5 to 10 kilometers a day at the age of 75 to 85, and she caused a huge revolution which people don't know about. And where water was at 400 feet, now water is at 80 feet. And they dug 4,000 tube wells and 32 medium canals and small dams. And in doing so, This woman changed the face of this area. Anyway, she died. This was 30 years ago. And her son took over and started taking on this movement. The government then decided that this land was very good and fertile because it was now growing grapes, it was growing 3 crops a year instead of no crops, and they decided to give this land to India bulls. 18,000 hectares of land. All the villagers got together. They said, do not disturb our life cycle. We don't want money. We want to give this good land and these good ethics to our next generation. And there was an agitation launched. No politician helped, as usual. But all the citizens and farmers got together and they went home to home and launched this agitation. And when finally India Bulls went to start their project, they were met with 400,000 farmers in Sinan, near Nasik. And all the farmers said, we will do a mass suicide here and you will start this project. And what was the project? The project was an SEZ. SEZ is a failed concept the world over. There's not a single country in the world which has seen successful SEZs. Why does India have to take all the junk of the world and appropriate it and negotiate? I've never understood that. In any case, the project was stopped because I don't think India wanted the death of 400,000 people on their hands. But this is the power of the poor. It's not only the last man in society who can agitate. You must have heard about the agitation in Bangalore, where 1,800 trees were being cut, of the oldest trees in Bangalore. And the young people on WhatsApp said, just give a missed call on WhatsApp to know that you're with us. And 1.65 lakh people gave missed calls on WhatsApp within 48 hours. And after that, they gained in confidence and they said, the steel flyover project which you want to build will not be built even cutting a single old tree. The next day they called for a Manav Shrinkila, human chain. And 18,000 people in one day's notice on a Sunday in Bangalore went on the streets to protect those trees, and today the government had to bow before their strength. They said the steel flyover project will be made, but architects have been called to see how they can make it without cutting even a single tree. This is the power of young people today. You see, it's important to realize today that 18 crore people are on WhatsApp, 16 crore people are on Facebook. It's a very golden opportunity to collect people for a positive resistance. It's easier than ever before. And this is the most important time to be young in India today, because we have the tools at our disposal to resist in a positive manner, in an informed manner, and in a manner which harms no one and helps everyone. I want to just give a few small examples of citizen engagement when we look at the larger conception of justice. I was in Gujarat and I went to a fair price store, which you call a ration shop, and I saw it listed there, which I've never seen in Uttar Pradesh, their entire stock, how much of supply they have received, and second, how much supply that week has been given to the villagers or the community that is served by the shop. And I said, what a good thing. And I went to meet the then Chief Minister, the lady, and I said, ma'am, what a great thing you've done. And she said, actually, I didn't do it at all. It's an 18-year-old boy from a village called Salti who did it. And so I met this guy, Bhadresh Vamja, who's now a little older than 18 and now the sarpanch of his village. And he just went to a village one day and he said, can I have kerosene, can I have rice, etc. They said, we have nothing. And he said, how come? I said, I've distributed it. He said, may I see? He said, no, it's none of your business. So he filed an RTI, he filed PILs, he did what young people normally do. And they then had to, the DM and the SP got involved, it became a big thing. And finally the Gujarat government said, you have to tell people what supplies you've been given, who you've given it to, and what you have an 18-year-old boy doing. Next to Sultanpur, where I'm a public representative from, is a district called Akbarpur, Ambedkar Nagar. And a 24-year-old woman called Shimla Kumari, who was a daily wage laborer, one day went to her work and she said, Sahab, I haven't been paid for 2 weeks and I get my wages daily. Could you kindly pay me? He said, I'm sorry, I'm not continuing this project, get lost. She said, but I've worked for 2 weeks for 12 hours a day. He said, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do, get lost. The contractor told her. She then approached an organization called Samanta, which works for a discrimination-free environment for working women. And they took it up to the labor office, they took it up to the employment office, they took it right up to the state government. And two things happened. One, the man had to pay her salary, her wages. But more importantly, in the process of resistance, what did she find? That she was getting paid 70 rupees a day, when all the men doing the exactly same job were getting paid 140 rupees a day. So she said, I want to now dedicate my life for service. And she went to every village in a small car provided for her. And today in Ambedkar Nagar, 24,000 women have been paid their back wages for the last 2 years for all the labor that they did. A 24-year-old woman who was a laborer did this, Shimla Kumari. And yet we don't read about these stories. That incredible woman. Tanju Devi in Gaunaha, in Champaran. One day, some foreigners had come to see Champaran, to see where Gandhi started his first movement. And they met these villagers and they probably asked them to show them around. And they gave this lady, Tanju Devi, was very kind of them, a small handy cam, a video camera, saying that this is our gift for you. You can take photos of your family and you can take photos of everybody and videos, etc. And they showed her how to use it, this poor, uneducated lady. And Tanju Devi started thinking about this camera as potentially a weapon of social resistance. And she thought, I'm not interested in taking videos of my children. They live with me. What am I going to take videos and show them to? So what she did was, they had found that there was a program called the National Social Assistance Program, which is given to women, handicapped people, and people of socially disadvantaged groups below the poverty line. But in Champaran and in Bagaha next door, nobody had been given their money for the last 2 years. So Tanju Devi went to the SDO, she went to the SDM, she went to the DM, but nobody gave her any heed. And she said, all right, now I will use this video camera. And she recorded 20,000 poor people on that video camera, little by little, just for 5, 10 seconds, telling their name, their village, and how they had not received their payment. And then she took it to the DM. By then it had gone viral on the social media because young people everywhere are on Facebook and WhatsApp and all. And then the Chief Minister heard about this, Nitish Kumar, and then he got Tanju Devi, made sure everybody was given their money and gave her a medal. So this is an incredible story. How one woman gets a video camera. I mean, all of us have phones today. Do we use it for fun or do we use it for good? Or can we do both? I mean, all of us have heard the story of the mountain man, Dashrath Manjhi. But you must go to Gaya. You must go and see the incredible work this man did, who with a hathauda, with a hammer, he carved a road through a mountain. It took him 22 years to get to the nearby hospital. And today, because of his perseverance, his doggedness, his commitment to the betterment of mankind, Today in Gaylord, in his village, you see a inter-college, you see a hospital, you see a sports stadium. It's because of this one man who was not celebrated in his time. He died a broken man. But today, look what his doggedness brought us. The way to justice, friends, is through social entrepreneurship. I've come to this conclusion. Young people today want to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. The fact is, can you make money and also do good? That is the road that we all have to look at. Dhruv Lakra in Bombay, an amazing person, in 2006 was sitting in a bus and he saw a person who was deaf and dumb. And then he went home and he received a courier from somebody. And he said, you know, when I received this courier, I never said anything to the person giving it to me. I just signed for it. So he said, a person who cannot hear, a person who cannot speak, can do this job. And he contacted people. He made a company called Miracle Couriers. Initially, nobody wanted to touch it. So he started it with his own money. And today, because of this amazing young man, Dhruv Lakra, there are 500 people in the city of Mumbai who are deaf and dumb, who have got dignified lives as couriers, and they are earning 25,000 rupees a month. I thought that was amazing. Another young person, my friend Durgesh Nandan. Durgesh was from Ghazipur working in Lucknow. And Durgesh Nandan said, there are auto rickshaw walas who work for 18 hours a day, but they are slaves. They don't even own their vehicle. In fact, less than 10% of auto rickshaw walas own their vehicle. He said, why can't we use the auto rickshaw as a marketing platform, advertising platform, give 50% of the revenue to the owner of the auto rickshaw and 25% to me. He started a company called Automotion Ads, and 25% to the owner. And the owners agreed. They said it's 25% more money for us, no investment. And today, because of that, in the last 5 years, there are 300 people in Lucknow, in Kanpur, in Banaras, in Bareilly, in Agra, who now own their auto rickshaws, and they're living lives of dignity. People who could never thought that they would ride in their own vehicle because of this small marketing platform are doing so. The government, all governments have good schemes, good platforms, but nobody knows about them because they are badly communicated. Also, we live in a country where a lot of people don't have access to information. And so how do you get around this? A young man called Aniket Devkar, he made a mobile phone platform called Haq Darshak. And you must go on Haq Darshak. And what Haq Darshak does is very simple. Is you give your name, your caste, your region, your age, and your income, and the proof of all these. And what does it do? It tells you all the government schemes that you're entitled to for 10 rupees. And for 50 rupees, what it does is it liaises with those government officials and those state government departments, because they're mostly state department given, and it gets you your money directly in your account. And it fills your phones, it does your communication, and it gets you your money. And I didn't know if this was true because it sounds a little good to be true. So a few weeks ago, I called up this lady from Bilaspur in Himachal. And I called her and I said, ma'am, I'm so and so. And of course I spoke in Hindi, and I said that it says that you used to get money and now you get more. And she said, yes. She said, I used to get 1,800 rupees a month, and somebody told me about this Haq Darshak, and I went there and I applied and I paid 50 rupees, and I was a little scared that they would be cheats. And today I get 4,200 a month just sitting at home to schemes that she is legally and socially entitled to. So I thought this was amazing. Another amazing story is of Navneet Ranjan, who was a filmmaker who came to Dharavi, and which is the largest slum in India. and to make a documentary. So when he met those people, he said, why should I make a documentary? I should actually do some good. So he stayed with those children, particularly started teaching them English, history, math, science. But then he thought these children need money. They don't need history and science because it's going to take me 10 years to teach them. They need a way to get on their feet. And so he used an open source app tool, an open source app development tool called MIT App Inventor, which also you should look at because I've done in my constituency with 1,000 people. And he saw how quickly the girls took to it and how they started making these apps, because he just worked with young girls because they were the most disadvantaged. And I saw 2 apps that those were did. So far, 600 girls in Arabi have made their own app and they are selling it on Google Apps. You must have a look at this. And when you look at the Google Play Store, I looked at 2 apps which are amazing. Fawzia Aslam Ansari made an app called Pani Hai Jeevan. And the app is very sophisticated. So what it does, it ties up with a 40-year-old girl. It ties up with valve engineers and pump engineers. It tells you what time the water will come. It tells you how many hours the water will come for that day. And it makes an online queue for you, how many other people go on it. And it tells you your time is from 2:26 to 2:51. And as you know, in slums, there is a lot of fight over things like water. As you know, in slums, there is no time for people because they're doing labor work or they're earning money every day. And this app saves you time, it saves you dignity of labor. I saw another app by a 15-year-old called Ansuja Matiwal. And Ansuja Matiwal made an app called Women Fight Back. And what it does is, it takes 100 of your emergency contacts, it sends it to them, it has a distress location signal, a sound, and it also sends a message to your nearest police station at the time if you feel that you're being harassed. Both of these apps together have got over 100,000 downloads from the Google Play Store. So that means people have made money off it. Ankit Quatra, again another young man, feeding India, going to hotels, going to marriage halls, going to big weddings, taking the waste food from people and giving it to the poor, cleaning it. I went to the Speaker of Parliament last month with a letter from 25 MPs, and I said that Parliament wastes so much of its food. Why can't Parliament take its excess food and give it to the slums that lie nearby? And I'm hoping that this session we're going to get that passed. Cross-party lines. You know, I just want to talk about 2 people that I heard about and that changed my way of thinking, and I want to end my speech by talking about these. Shrikant, and I want you to listen very carefully. Shrikant Bola was born blind in a village called Sitaramapuram in Andhra Pradesh. And he wanted to study science in his 11th and 12th. And they said, no, you can't study science because you're blind. How will you do the experiments? How will you do what's required? So he went to court, and the court said, yes, he can study science, he can do whatever he wants, he's a free citizen. He studied science in Andhra Pradesh, what was then United Andhra Pradesh, and he got 99.6%, and he topped the whole state. And after that, he wanted to go to IIT, but IIT wouldn't have him. And IIT said, how can we take a blind student? How can we take a student who will accompany him to the mess, who will accompany him to classes? I'm sorry, we don't have any way to negotiate this problem. And so he applied to MIT. MIT gave him a full scholarship, the first Indian to get a full scholarship from MIT. He then went to MIT and he topped MIT. He was #1. He got the gold medal. And after topping MIT as a blind young man, he was asked by Google, he was asked by Oracle, he was asked by everybody. And they said, come, HP, come and work with us. And he said, no, I have to finish the circle which I started. And he came back to India and he started a company, Shrikant Bola, called Bolland Technologies. Today, Bolland Technologies is a 300 crore company. And the amazing thing about Bolland Technologies is 80% of people who work for it are blind or legally blind or terribly handicapped. It's a 300 crore industry. It just inspired me. And then I was in West Bengal, and then I heard about Babar Ali. Babar Ali was a 9-year-old boy, poor background, going to school, was the only kid in his class in Bhapta village in Murshidabad. And he would come back and he would teach everybody in his village what he had learned that day. And he would take terracotta, broken terracotta tiles and make it into a blackboard and steal a little bit of chalk from his school. And he would take it and teach people under a guava tree. I saw the guava tree. And then this class became bigger and bigger. People from other villages started coming and listening to this 9-year-old teacher. And then CNN heard about this and they gave him 50 lakh rupees and the change maker of the world award, $100,000 at that time. And they called him the world's youngest headmaster. And he took that money. Anybody would have taken that money and they would have built a house with it. They would have built, bought land with it. And what did he do? He built a big school in his village for 800 children. And today stands that amazing structure of 800 kids. And now he's older, he's 24 years old, studying English literature. And 18 people who he taught have now become teachers in their own right and gone to other schools and teaching. And he said that his dream is that after he finishes his bachelor's and master's, he's going to go to every village in Murshidabad district and create another Babar Ali so they can teach people. So one district in West Bengal will have 100% literacy. In conclusion, justice is not a monolith. Right? There's no such thing called justice. In India lie millions of struggles for justice. And we are talking about them as we speak. However, today we have the tools to fight back. We have an evolved citizenry. And an evolved citizenry that knows its rights, that knows how to navigate their position towards where they want to be, to mold, to negotiate, and to lead. However, there is a criteria for this. We cannot have islands of justice in our country. Justice has to be uniform, or else there is uniform injustice. And therefore, I want to end my interaction to you today by saying that, like Gandhi, we must remember the face of the last man in society before taking any decision, economic or social. And in the face of this last man in society, when we're negotiating a forward path for ourselves, economically and socially, when we remember that our futures individually can only be glorious when that man reaches a certain level of economic and social justice himself. And his face and the pain or lack of it on it will serve to us as a barometer for justice for all of us, or then justice for none of us. Thank you.